Om Nilambujam Shyamal Komalangam Sita Samaropita Vamabhagam Panau Maha Sayaka Charu Chapam Namami Ramam Raghuvanshanatham. Om. Adorations to Lord Rama, whose complexion is like a blue lotus, who is very tender and delightful in appearance. Sita is seated on his left side and is carrying a powerful bow and arrow in his hands. With this invocation, we are entering into the study of Bala Kanda of Sri Ramacharita by Sri Goswami Tulsidas ji. In a highly poetic way, Tulsidas ji describes the Ramayana that he is going to compose is like a beautiful lake. And those who are devotees, who have developed good qualities, who have Godward mind, they are drawn to that lake. They become adornments for that lake. But then there are others who are not drawn to that lake. And we continue with that. That's Doha number 37 continues. Tehi karan avat hi hare, kami kak balak bichare, avat ehi sar ati kathinai, Ram bi kripa bindu ai na jai. Those who are drawn to negative qualities, asuri sampat, anger, hate, greed, mada, pride, matsarya, jealousy, and who have become addicted to worldly enjoyments, eat, drink, be merry. They are described like crows. Crows don't like to go into beautiful pilgrimage spots. Manasarovar it dispels them. Kami, those who are addicted to Vishaya Sukh, pleasures of the senses, they can't go there, just like crows and balak. Balak doesn't mean block. Hindi word, bakula. They are herons. Crows and herons, they don't go towards that beautiful lake. For people to be drawn to the lake, that's not a simple matter. Ram kripa binu ai na jai. Divine grace must be behind it. And I have explained to you, kripa operates in 4 ways. Ishvara kripa, that's the basic kripa, the foundation of grace, God's grace. But when God's grace begins to operate, atma kripa develops. You begin to develop an aspiration for attaining enlightenment, or even to enjoy satsanga ras. It's kind of rasam you drink when you come to satsanga. And when that desire develops, it's a matter just of a desire. Countless people are around, but out of them just a handful develops the desire, let me go to the ashram. Let's go to and enjoy satsanga. So that what emanates from your heart, that's atma kripa, the grace of your soul. Your soul has developed a subtle inclination towards God realization. Otherwise, you have been wandering in this world, since the world began. Mhm. And when did the world begin? There is no beginning. And so far, where are you? Wandering. This wandering process must stop. And so the moment that desire enters into your heart, let me enjoy satsanga. There is something more in the world than just having pleasures of the senses. When that idea has entered, that's called atma kripa. And when we study scriptures, you don't study like academic books, how quickly you can finish this whole thing. Spit it out in examination and feel free. Not that type of study. But we study it. Again, you study it. 6 months later, you study it. 1 year later, you study it. And you go on discovering something special that you had not discovered before. So in an unending exploration into the mystery of the soul. So that when that begins to develop, called shastra kripa, the scriptures are not just pages to be eaten up by worms. And then there is Guru Kripa. Guru Kripa can come in any stage. By Ishvara Kripa, you are led to Guru. And through Guru, you are introduced to the scriptures. So, in brief, you hear of 4 types of grace. Ishvara Kripa, Guru's Kripa, Atma Kripa, Shastra Kripa. And Kripa works wonders. Self-effort and grace, they constitute the formula for working out wonders in your life in spite of all adversities, obstacles. You shed them all and attain liberation. Rather, you convert your adversities into a dynamic movement towards your evolution. Katin kusanga kupantha karala, tinike bachan bagari vyala, grihakaraj nanag janjala, te ati durgam shaila visala. Wrong association. Is a terrible path. It's just like dramatizing how people can go to Manasarovar. Those who are not endowed with Rama's grace, those who are indulgent, driven to worldly entanglements, for them finding the path that can be joyous is difficult. The path they find, they are coming to Manasarovar Lake. But you will come through a right process, and as you come, a wonderful forest leads you to another grove, and from that grove you are led to swans and peacocks, and there is no boring moment until you enter into the Manasarovar Lake. That those who are gripped by worldly impurities, instead of finding the right type of forest, the right process, they find the whole forest there full of terrible things. The earth is covered with thorns, and there are pebbles that can cut your feet, and there are ditches that can break your legs. I'm dramatizing. Katin kusanga kupant, that's called kupant, wrong path. Karala, terrible. How terrible? People who draw you into that path, they are those who are the source of wrong association. Negative-minded people, they wouldn't let you enter into their Manasarovar. Just like in a terrible forest, you cannot have your own way because the forest abounds with Vyagra, tiger, lion, venomous snakes. And another great obstacle to approaching Ramayana is the household chores and the countless janjals of householders. In Hindi language, it's called dhanjamanj. Dhanjamanj chhad kar Ram naam bhajan kar. Many unnecessary entanglements that have no meaning. And that's what grihasthi implies. You enter into household relation without deeper understanding. Nothing is wrong. The whole thing has been planned by God to discover the spirituality within yourself. But instead, you go on highlighting your ego, your own pleasures, and you go on developing moha, intense illusion. If your son wants to go to study somewhere, but because you are attached, you wouldn't let this son go. I'm just giving you, don't take it literally. If you keep the son with you in a spiritual way, that's bravo. In other words, your relations are not based on helping each other. A good relationship means you become inspiration to each other. Flowers living together. Each flower has its own beauty. A rose doesn't say to the sunflower, become like me. No, shine like yourself, but shine. So that's called dhanjamanj. Household problems, the mind that used to be free. Now your mind has countless things to worry about. And in that worrying process, God is forgotten. You created the entire universe with its boundless precision. And you suddenly don't understand that He is supporting you. In spite of whatever circumstances you have, create space in your mind for japa, for prayer, for satsanga. Not only create space in your mind, use the outer space to move towards wherever there is satsanga. So in this terrible path, as if you are being targeted by lions, snakes, tigers, and these household entanglements, they are like inaccessible mountains. You can't cross over. ban bahu visham moha madamana, nadi kutarka bhayankara nana. And then there are inaccessible forests. When you are lost in a forest, it's a terrible thing. You don't know, you have no guidance. And you have both possibilities. You may find a right path and get out of the forest. That path is known as vidya. Or you may find a wrong path that takes you deeper and deeper into the forest. And you become more and more lost. And what are those forests that make you miss your path, make you lost? They are the malas, gross impurities. 3 malas have been mentioned: moha, infatuation; mada, conceit; man, pride. And all other malas are implied in it: kama, krodha, lobha. Kama, desires, perverted desires; krodha, anger; lobha, greed. When these invade your mind, then Ramayana becomes difficult. You do not really enjoy the sweetness, the inspiration, and the grace which abound in the scripture. On the other hand, even in spite of shallow state of mind, if you are approaching the scriptures have the power to change your mind. So it goes both ways. Moha, mada and mana, they are inaccessible forests. And there are not only forests, there are streams in the forests. Difficult to cross over. Difficult, rather they are terrible. In those streams you never know how crocodiles hide. And what are those difficult streams? Kutarka, wrong rationality. To give you a simple illustration, an aspirant having done a lot of japa and suddenly becomes frustrated. I could have done something wonderful, but I wasted my time. What did I get? Headache. I could have gone to a hotel, enjoyed some pleasures of the senses. What a loss. When your thinking is in this fashion, that's called Kutarka, wrong rationality. And there are bhayankar Kutarka, terrible rationalities that keep one away from moving on the right path, the path that will make you divine, will make you liberated, make you saintly, daivik. Je Shraddha sambal rahit, nahi santan kar saath, tine kahu manasa gamati, jinahi na priya raghunaath. When you adopt a tour or a journey, when you travel, old style travel, they use the term raha kharch. Keep some money with you to spend according to the need of the path. To maintain yourself moving on the path, have some money. What is the money now in this spiritual sense? Shraddha, faith. Faith allows you to follow the path of satsanga. But if you don't have that faith, and you don't have satsanga, and therefore Rama is not dear to you. Try to understand, again, subtler point. God is the source of joy for all individuals. God shines on all. But when you become inclined to God, when you turn to God, there is a special effect coming from divine grace that intensifies your self-effort. I will just give you an episode from the Mahabharata. Bhima was fighting against Jarasandha. They were wrestling. Jarasandha is a symbol of abhinivesh klesha, fear of death. And in that fight, Bhima went on fighting, intense. But there comes a stage when he looks at Krishna. The moment he looks at Krishna, Krishna gives him a subtle trick. How to destroy Jarasandha. These episodes are made for very subtle point so that we can understand in an interesting way. You are fighting against fear of death day by day, fear of mortality, fear of transience. You are fighting day by day. That fight is your self-effort, without which you cannot live. But blend in that self-effort, moving your eyes a little towards God. Because He is constantly waiting to help you. Krishna was there constantly with Arjuna. He was watching with great intensity Bhima's fight against Jarasandha. But until Bhima looked at him, the subtle insight he could not get. So that applies to everyone. Fight the battle of life. But along with, as you fight with no stone unturned. To fight well, with perfect precision. But along with that fight, try to catch the attention of God. Other way around, turn to God. This Godward movement will give you a subtle formula, subtle grace. जो करी कष्ट जाई पुनि कोई, जातहि नींद जुड़ाई हुई, जड़ता जार विषम उर लागा, गए न मज्जन पाव अभागा. Now, there are people, now some of these points who have been told before, there are different types of people who go to satsanga. Those who are enlightened, they are sages and saints. They don't turn away from Ramayana. I know already I'm enlightened. And then there are people who are aspirant seekers. They turn to Ramayana. And then there are general masses, not highly advanced. And then there are third class or the fourth class people, manda buddhi. All types of people come in. All are benefited. But if you have proper qualifications, you are immensely benefited. Now, having entered satsanga, and allowing your mind to enjoy the contents of Ramayana, like again adopting the parable, rather the allegorical picture of Manasarovar. You are a traveler. By the time you have come to Manasarovar, you are exhausted. So you lie down at the bank of Manasarovar and go to sleep. जाते ही नींद जुड़ाई हुई, and thereby you are being introduced to obstacles on the spiritual path. And just I'll give you mention those. First obstacle is laya, a concentrated movement of the mind towards devotion or towards vichar. Who am I? Inquiry. You started well, but hardly you started, you fell asleep. That's called laya. You worked hard, came to satsang, but hardly the satsang has started, you are you're gone. Next is called vikshepa. You don't fall asleep, but you heard few words of satsanga, and your mind now started working. And you got into another satsanga of your own. The Guru said the world is like snake on the rope. So, oh yes, snake. A lot of experiences of your stay with snake. It's called vikshepa. The third called kashaya. Kashaya means you started with the bhakti ras, a devotional feeling and sense of as if you have a sweet taste coming in your heart. But suddenly you heard some point how the demons can grab you if you are not cautious. The moment you heard it, your mind became bitter. And you started thinking of bitter things that have happened in your life. Or your mind moved into some other tasty things, but not scriptural taste. You started with the mango, and they started thinking of pickles. The next type is called rasa swad. You began to enjoy it so much that you don't want the teacher to move any ahead and go further. Mind stops from moving onwards. So people who are under the influence of wrong association, the moment they come to Ramayana, the lake, mystic lake, they fall asleep. Or they suddenly begin to tremble as if severe cold has gripped them. Karina jai saramajjana pana, phiri avai sameta bhimana, yaun bahori koi puchana awa, saraninda kare tahi bujhava. He didn't succeed in entering the Manasarovar Lake, nor could he sip the sanctified water. But with great pride he comes back He has taken flashes of pictures of Manasarovar. He shows to his people, look, I went there, but I didn't find God or anything. It was very ordinary. That's what people say, grapes are sour. Who said it? Fox. सकल विघ्न व्यापहि नहीं तेहि राम सुकृपा पृथ्वी लोकहि जेहि सोई सादर सरमज्जनु करई महाघोर त्रयताप नजरई. But those who have secured Rama's grace by your good karmas, by your satsanga, by your japa, by your integral practice of integral yoga in daily life, if you have allowed kripa drishti of God, God has looked at you. You have looked at God. God is always looking at you, but you are not looking at God. Once you have looked at God, take it metaphorically, figuratively. The moment that connection has developed with God within, sakala vighna vyag pyapahi nahi tohi. All types of troubles there in the world, all obstacles. Obstacles are many, but nothing can touch you. That's another saintly statement. Jako rakhe sanya mari na sake hain koe. Bal na baka kar sake jo jag bairi hoye. If you are protected by God, no one can hurt you. Bal na baka kar sake. Not even one single hair can be taken out of your head. Even if the entire world is against you. So try to understand that point. And the moment you begin to take a plunge in this Manasarovar Lake, implying the moment you begin to listen the Ramayana and enjoy the sweetness, the story, the devotion, the insight presented by Ramayana. Mahaghor trayatap najarai. The world is constantly raging with threefold fire: subjective, objective, and act of God. Three types of miseries. The scriptures are never tired of talking about three types of miseries. Subjective, no one is exempt. Having come into the body, you will be aging. You will be seeing your hair turn grey, no matter how much you will be raising. I was joking, but try to understand that's not the only one. Subjective, so many problems that you face day by day, so many types. Objective, in relation to people around you, your close relatives, your distant people around you. They are also near and dear ones, but not near ones. But then there are neither near nor dear. You are affected by complete strangers. But not only human beings, animals, birds, and all types of troubles come from the world. And nobody is secure, nowhere. And then act of God. Act of God, hurricanes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, and so forth. That's the type of world everyone lives in. But all this doesn't matter. Once you have developed devotion to God, You begin to recognize that you are a ray of God. Simple way to look at it. Sun is like God. Reflected suns are like the jivas, individual souls. Think of thousands of pots are there in different positions with different types of water. And there are thousands of suns shining through those pots. Each sun and each pot with a sun is very similar to every individual soul. The individual soul deep down is a ray of God. But if mind has not turned to God, then you are dependent on the water and on the pot. The potward vision versus Godward vision. Ghatvat drishti or Godward drishti. Te narayah sar tajahina kau, jinke Ram charan bhala pabhau. Those who have developed love for Lord Rama's feet, they will not move away from this Manasarovar. That means they will be constantly deriving inspiration from satsanga relating to Ramayana. That again, from broad point of view, satsanga is always of Rama. Rama is God. So whether satsanga relates to glory of Krishna or glory of Devi, satsanga is satsanga of the same God. Tulsidas specializes it in the form of Ramayana. Those people who have love for Rama's feet, they do not give up this lake. Therefore, Tulsidas says, "O brothers, apply your focus of the mind, become profoundly devoted to bathing in the Ramayana through satsanga. Asamanasa manasa chakachahi, bhai kavi buddhi vibala avagahi, bhayav hirdaya ananda uchahu, umgeu prema pramoda prabhahu." Having visualized Manasarovara through Hridaya Netra, the vision of the heart, implication that first the whole Ramayana came in Tulsidas' heart, and he is seeing it. Not only he sees the Ramayana before him, he dives into it. As a result, his buddhi became nirmal, intellect that is free of malas. And the heart became filled with joy and a sense of effervescent, rather a sense of shining spiritual strength. Prem pramod. And there emerged from his heart the joy of divine love. In Sanskrit, we use three terms: priya, mod, pramod. Something that is dear to you, and you look at it, it's called priya. That object is priya, dear to me. When you hold the object in your hand, that is called mod. You are enjoying the object or human being, whoever is the source of your joy. Your enjoyment is not just looking from a distance, but a close attainment. And thirdly, pramod. Just like you looked at a river from a distance, you came close to the river. Each step is enjoyable, but then when you dipped into the river, you have the best joy. So people derive these three types of joy as they approach the Ramayana. Chali subhag kavita sarita so, Ram bimal jas jal bharita so, Sarju naam sumangala mula, Lokaveda manjula kula. And the river of kavita, poetry, emerged from the heart of Tulsidas. And that stream, that river, is filled with Rama's glory. This Kavita Nadi, the river of poetry, is Saryu river. Now, Tulsidas is turning to the Rama's story, how Rama, Ayodhya, is the city at the banks of Saryu river. And Tulsidas ji describes how inspiring the river is, as if Saryu river emerged in his heart. And this river has two banks. Lokamat refers to general opinion of the masses, popular belief. Vedamat, the scriptural belief. The scriptural belief is always extended in villages of India. There is a Lokamat. Sometimes Lokamat is more spicy than the scriptural mat. Nadi Puneet Sumasa Sumanasa Nandini Kalimala Trinataru Mula Nikandini. This Saryu river, that's the daughter, allegorical description, that the daughter of Manasarovar, profoundly holy, sacred, purifying. This river is the eradicator of the sins of Kali Yuga. It shakes off trees and bushes from their very root. Trees and bushes of sinful karmas. Shrota Trividya Samajapur, Gram Nagar Duhunkul, Santa Sabha Anupama Avad, Sakal Sumangalamul. And three types of listeners. They are the citizens abiding by the banks of the Saryu river. Three types. I've touched upon that before, but here specialized. Mukt, Sadhak, Vishayi. Those who are liberated, those who are aspirants, and those who are still indulgent dominated by sense pleasure. And assembly of saints, they go to form Ayodhya city. Rama Bhagati Surasari Tahi Jai, Mili Sukirati Saraju Suhai, Sanuja Rama Samaraja Jasupavan, Mileu Mahanadu Sona Suhavan. Tulsidas is giving you flashes of all the story of Ramayana. This Saryu river, as you go further towards the east in India, Saryu river joins Ganges. Ganges is Rama Bhakti. Saryu is Ram Kirti. Rama's glory sung, that Saryu river. This glory singing leads you to Bhakti, a profounder state of devotion to God. So Kirti blends with Bhakti. And then another river joins into it, a great river known as Son river. So as Ganges flows on, these are tributaries to the Ganges. Saryu river, Son river, And when all these three rivers meet, then Harihara Kshetra Mela, a great fair, is celebrated in India. I'm not going into that direction. But Son River is another wondrous attribute of God. It relates to, just like if you read the story of Ramayana, you come to the stage where Rama and Lakshmana, they fight against Ravana. And in that fight, so many wondrous things, divine movements are displayed. Son River displays that type of movement. Jug bich bhagati deva dhuni dhara, sohati sahit subirati vichara, trividata patra sakati mukhani, Ram sarupa sindhu samuhani. Ganga Nadi is the river of devotion, Bhakti Nadi. The river Ganga is compared to Bhakti, devotion. And tributaries coming into that river, they are like Jnana and Vairagya. Jnana is increasing discriminative knowledge. I am Brahman, I am not the body, mind. And Vairagya, all things experienced by your mind, intellect, senses, they are transient. And where all the three rivers meet, rather where the two tributaries enter the Ganges river, three rivers have come one. That implies it's that stage that cuts down three types of tapas: subjective, objective, and act of God. And with this I will be concluding. Om Shri Ramaya Namah, Om Shri Ramaya Namah, Om Namah Shivaya.